Welcome to Managing Google Slides. Google Slides is a popular tool for displaying rotating content on your dashboards. Things like general announcements, training information, shift schedule changes, or other visual content that you want cycling throughout your screens throughout the day. In this section, we'll cover how the integration works, how to configure timing, and how to troubleshoot the most common issues. You have a Google slide deck linked to your dashboard widget. The dashboard retrieves the published version on the deck from the Google server. Dashboards don't continuously download the entire deck. They load the latest version or available when the refresh interval happens. Updates to the Google Slides may take a few minutes or maybe even two to appear on your dashboard because Google also caches published content on their end. So when you save a change to a slide, the published version doesn't update instantaneously. There's a brief processing window that you need to wait. If you need immediate updates, use the refresh device option in the admin panel that we spoke about before. If you're not familiar with that, go to the devices section and watch that video, and we'll walk through how to refresh your device. By default, the slides rotate at 10 seconds per slide and show the images and content you have formatted there. The total time for slides to show on the dashboards is set to be 60 seconds, a maximum of 6 slides. When fewer than 6 slides appear, the system cycles back to begin again until that 60-second cycle has transpired. To adjust the rotation time from 4 slides, simply go to the agency admin drop-down menu and select the slides, then go to edit. So click on the edit button, which is on the far right-hand side. Then on the list of slides, you'll go down and there's a section that is headered slide rotation interval in seconds. And you'll enter the number in that box where it'll currently say 10, unless somebody else has changed it prior. And you can modify that and then click the save and back button at the bottom. So it'll look like something like this. It'll have your agency name, your organization name at the top. There might be a tag in that box that says tag, but you want to go back down to where there's that big green box. This slide says slide rotation interval in seconds. Change that number that's in there to the number of seconds you want. Then go back down to the bottom where the yellow arrow is pointing. Click on that big green button that says save and back, and that will apply your change. So it's important to remember the timing between slides is configured inside the admin panel, not within Google Slides itself. For quick announcements or bullet points, shorter intervals of 5 to 10 seconds work really well. For text-heavy slides like training reminders or schedules or things like that, 15 to 30 seconds gives members enough time to read the content. And we can change both the intervals of the slides as well as the individual times themselves. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the dashboard rotation does not override Google Slides timing. So the slide deck cycles within whatever window the dashboard's rotation allocates to that widget. So make sure your timing settings are aligned with your overall board layout. For more text-heavy slides, you may wish to extend the viewing time for that slide, but not all the others. In these scenarios, simply duplicate that slide and have that slide appear twice or maybe 3 times sequentially. It'll appear to the viewer that it stays up longer. It's really showing that slide 3 different times or 2 different times to extend the appearance so people can read that text-heavy content before it slides to the next one. For the dashboard to display your slides, the deck must be published. Google Slides also allows you to mark individual slides as skip, which removes them from the rotation of what's being published to your dashboard without deleting them from the deck. This is useful for temporarily hiding maybe seasonal content, archiving alternative layouts, or removing outdated slides without losing the design work itself. Skip slides will never appear on your dashboard. Even if they're visible on the editor window, this isn't going to show up on your dashboard. This is a clean way to manage a deck that has both active and inactive content. Your account is set up to allow for up to 15 slides in that slide deck. Again, you're still governed by the 60-second window. And if you need more than that, if you want more than 15, just let us know. Reach out to our support team and we can add some more slides to that if you wish. We just had to come up with a number. 15 seemed like a reasonable number for people to have in that deck. But again, if you need more, let us know. And again, remember, you still have that second 60-second slide window for rotation of the slides that you have in your deck. So regardless of how many slides you have in there, you're governed by that 60-second rule. And when you start duplicating content for dense slides, you're going to start losing the amount of slides you can have presented. But regardless of how many you have queued up for the display, you're still going to be governed within that 60-second slide window. To avoid stretching, clipping, or having black bars on your dashboard, match your slide aspect ratio to the display where it will be shown. For most dashboards, that's a 16:9 widescreen setting. Keep text large enough to read from maybe 10 or 20 feet away, especially if you're using, larger to medium-sized screens that are mounted high up on a wall. And avoid placing content too close to the edges of your frame. Some displays have slight margins, so depending on what screen you're using and what the aspect ratio is, just kind of keep it towards the middle of your slide so you don't have things bleeding out or getting cut off on the edges. And again, when you get into your Google Slides, you'll see templated examples like these that are on the screen. These are examples for you to go in and modify to your use, and feel free to just customize those for your purposes or get creative and make your own. Now, just a quick pro tip. Limit your slide decks to 15 slides or fewer for best performance. And remember, your organization can have multiple slide decks. For example, one deck for organization-wide information. You can have another separate deck for content specific to a particular station, division, or maybe even a special team. Now let's talk about some common troubleshooting items that will save you some time and hopefully a lot of frustration. The fastest fix for slides that aren't updating is a device refresh. Go to the admin panel like we talked about before, hit that refresh button. Also confirm that the device is actually online and not stuck on some kind of cached content. Now, if you're getting incorrect timing between slides, that's where you want to look at republishing the deck and then hitting the refresh button on your device to make that sync up. If you have old slides still showing, a device refresh usually resolves this. Keep in mind that Google's publishing cache can take 1 to 2 minutes to reflect changes. So be patient and wait a little bit before going through all the troubleshooting or reaching out to the support team, because there is that cached memory on the Google side of this equation. Now, if you have slide decks that are not displaying at all, check that the deck is published, number one, and set to have the correct sharing or publish settings. Also confirm that there are no firewall restrictions blocking Google content within your organization. So you might need to reach out to your IT team to make sure that once you've done the other piece, reach out to them, make sure there's not a firewall in place that's hindering the connection to Google.